All right, we are live. Hey, welcome back. This is Track Coach Jones. Some people just know me as Coach. And we are back with the Track Tribe live sessions again. I've got a super special guest with us today. Super excited. Um, Most people know him, but if you don't, you better get to know this man. I am in the room with Coach Kenny Anderson today. But before we rock into the coach's introduction, I do want to remind you, please share this live. Make sure that you get your people on this so you can hear this. You don't want to miss this information. We're going to be talking about hurdling today, y'all. And I'm telling you right now, you want to hear from this man. And the one thing I can say is to make sure you take notes because you want to have this stuff because it's evergreen stuff that happens and its success happens over and over and over again. If you need to, you can also find us on the school app, SKOOL. Look for the Track Tribe. And we've got a lot of live sessions that we do on a monthly basis. And so this is just one of the few that we've done so far and many more to come. But with all that being said, again, I'm Track Coach Jones and I'm excited to be here with you. We're going to welcome our Coach Kenny Anderson. Coach, how you doing today?
Man, I'm great, my guy. I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to talking to you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, man. We're here live here, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time right now. So, Coach, why don't you do me a favor and do the rest of us a favor as well? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? What's your coaching philosophy? What's your program like? Where are you? How do they find you, right? All this good stuff that I know people want to know immediately. Like, who is this guy and why should I listen to him?
Gotcha. Okay, no problem. So I'm Kenny Anderson. I am the head coach at Central Methodist University. We're located in Fayette, Missouri. That's a lot of people don't know where that's at, but we're right outside of Columbia, Missouri, small town, Fayette. So I've been here 6 years at CMU. Before that, I was an assistant at Johnson C. Smith University,
Mhm.
originally from Florida, graduate of Florida A&M University. Um, and my background, sprints and hurdles. I was a hurdler, so I'm looking forward to talking about hurdles. But just a little bit about my philosophy as a coach. How we operate here at CMU. I believe in three things: communication, trust, and family. So
Mm.
everything is built off of those principles. Every athlete is different, so we believe in building relationships with our athletes. You can't coach them all the same. So what you can say to one person, you might not be able to say to the other. So you got to know who they are first, and that only happens by communication. And then over time, you build a level of trust, which is the second, principle. So, if I trust you, Coach Jones, you trust me, we trust each other, then
Right.
we can be successful as a unit. So, like that's a big part of our program. Like we got to have trust. It's a partnership, and we're working together.
Mm.
And then the last thing is family. So I come from a big family. Family is very, very important to me. Even though we're small Fayette, like we're very, very diverse here. So we got people from all over the country, Florida, Texas, California on our team and our program. And we have quite a few international student athletes here as well. So very diverse, very family oriented. And so we're all moving in the same direction, trying to accomplish our goals both individually as well as a unit, and that's how we move. So that's my philosophy. That's how we get down, and yeah,
I love it. Communication, trust, family.
yeah.
You know what my favorite part about all that is that you rattled that off so fast. It wasn't an ad, right? I don't know. Did anybody hear that? Like it was like communication, trust, family. Like I could tell that that's ingrained in the way that you do things because of how fast you came up with it, right? It
Yeah.
was just like it wasn't something that you had to think about. It was this is who we are, right? And so my favorite part of that of those three is family, right? I'm a huge family guy. That's one of my core values, right? And so I believe in heavily living that core value. Matter of fact, I've had some opportunities that come up and they take me away from my family. I'll immediately say no, right?
Right.
We're governed and guided by our core values, right? And so the way that you said that, it resonated with me. It struck a chord with me because that, we can tell when somebody's authentic and when somebody's playing around. And this is just, oh, this is who we are, quote unquote, or air quotes. So, with that being said, coach, family is a big deal for you. What's it like for an athlete, first of all? Let me start there and then I want to dive
Okay.
into the hurdle stuff. I know that's what people
Okay.
are really interested in.
Mm.
What's it like for you and for the athlete? if they were to decide to be part of your particular family or track family?
It's literally that family. So my job as a coach is to guide you both on the track, off the track, in life. My job is to help you to accomplish your goals. So sometimes it's tough love, sometimes it's coddling. Whatever the case may be. Like I'm here to help you. So um, I'll give you an example. A lot of our students are international here, so over Thanksgiving they really can't go home. So I stay here in Thanksgiving and we do Thanksgiving
Mm,
together as a family. So that's just like one small example, but it's more so, okay, like what do you need? How can I be a resource? How can I put you in position to be successful? Who can I contact that you might need for your job, your business, your career? It's just networking. So, and I'm just here to serve. I feel like coaching is a calling and a purpose for me. So I love what I do every day. And so as as much as I can help, that's what I'm here for. Not just on the
man, that's
track, but
that's the
just
mark
in
of a great
everything.
leader. That's the mark of a great leader. You're saying some things, and I want to call it out here. I'm here to serve, right? And if we're going to be leaders, we have to serve first. And man, I'm gonna tell you, almost got me teary eyed right now. You're like the kids who don't have family, they can't go home. I stay back with them, and we get together.
Yeah.
Right? That speaks volumes, man. And I don't know that we have enough of that going around the country. Okay,
I
go ahead,
and
coach.
just to piggyback on it, I think that's how we've been able to build and be successful here, because it's more than just what we do on the track.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of coaches talk about being transactional versus transformational. So
Mm,
don't get me wrong, like I want to win. Like I'm very
right.
competitive. Like I want to win. I want to be successful, but I also like want to have a large impact on you know 5-10 years down the line. They're gonna remember the experience. Like Coach Kenny was on my butt, but I know why Coach Kenny was the way he is, or I don't
Yeah.
understand now why he does stuff, because I'm a little crazy, just a little bit. But like 5-10 years, okay, that makes sense. And so just guiding them, helping them to become successful human beings. I think that's a big part of what we do here at Central Methodist.
Man, that's outstanding. But that's what we do, right? That's the servitude part. You got to be a little bit crazy to be a track coach in the first place. I think that's the first qualification that they don't they don't tell you. It's on a resume. It's just
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
invisible ink, right? Okay, so let's dive into the meat because I know we got some people that are here, and those of you who are out there listening to us live, feel free to drop some questions in the chat if you have them. We'll make sure we try to get to those as soon as we can as we dive through this thing. So we're going to get into some a little bit of technical information, but mostly some of the fundamentals and the principles of this thing called hurdling, right? One of the more technical things, one of the more technical events on the track in the first place, right? Okay, so okay, coach, I'm gonna hit you with a little bit of a dynamic question, right?
All right.
And so if a high school coach has 8 to maybe 12 weeks to try to get a hurdler together, right? What are like maybe the three non-negotiables that you would instill in that particular coach that he needs to transfer over to that athlete? So, what are the three non-negotiable things that you would say, hey, these are the three things you need to do as a coach to make sure that your athlete gets to the best level that or reach their highest potential that they can?
Great question. So two parts. One, if it's a short hurdler, they need to know how to accelerate. They need to know how to bound and their hurdle technique. All
Hmm.
right. So if it's a long hurdler or a combo hurdler, they still need to learn how to accelerate. They still need to learn how to bound. You just add a little tempo on that.
Hmm.
So those are my three non-negotiables. But hurdling, you got to be fast. A lot of I see, and this is not a shot at any coach, but I see a lot of coaches. Um, all you do is hurdle. You don't sprint.
Hmm.
Like and that's a big no. Like you got to be fast. You got to be able to run. If you can't run, how are you going to hurdle fast? Like it's an oxymoron. So, um, speaking on that, I see a lot of coaches, and I'm going off on a tangent because this kind of grinds me just a little bit.
Let's go.
So as a coach, when I'm looking at athletes, potential student athletes, as far as recruiting and everything like that, and you see hurdlers, all they do is hurdle,
Mhm.
then I'm wondering what else can they do? I feel like hurdlers are the most athletic people in track and field. Like if you can hurdle, you can do a lot of things. Either you can hurdle and sprint, you can hurdle and jump, whatever. Like you can do more than just hurdle. But a lot of coaches get caught up in, okay, you're a hurdler. Every time you go to a track meet, you have to hurdle. You're
Mhm.
doing your student athletes a disservice. You don't have to hurdle every weekend. You don't have to hurdle every meet. You look at, college programs, their hurdlers are sprinting, or their hurdlers are running the 200, or they're running 400s, or they're on the relays, they're jumping, they're doing something else. So I guess a non-negotiable, another one is make sure your hurdlers are doing more than just hurdling at meets.
Mm. So we got acceleration, we got bounding, and then whether you're a short or long herder, that changed one of your non-negotiables, which would have been technique for the short ones, right? Hurdle, you got to learn how to hurdle first of all.
Yeah,
You can kind of get away with sprinting in between the longer hurdles, right? If you could be
right,
terribly technically, but you have to be sound on the short hurdles. But then the other non-negotiable, if you're a longer hurdle, is learning how to run at tempo, right? Learning how to find your rhythm and your pacing.
right.
So, in addition, from what I'm hearing you saying, is the non-negotiable bonus with that is, hey, find some other events to get into outside of hurdling because the sprint mechanics are what's going to carry you beyond where you are just with your technical ability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right on.
All right, I hope I broke that down. So I'll charge y'all later for that breakdown.
That
The
was a
track
good
coach Jones.
breakdown. That was a good breakdown.
As a former teacher, man.
Yeah.
Uh, So I promise I'll try to do the make the simple stuff or technical stuff simple, right? And so I 100% agree with you. And I've had times in the past I'm like I have like jumpers, right? And I have to go, okay, you're not jumping today. Let's just run,
Hmm.
right? And I've had parents go, man, why isn't my kid jumping? First of all, because I said so, right? And then the second thing is maybe the person has to learn how to run. All right, so
Right.
you got a high school coach that comes in here, and we're telling them right now, stop just putting your kids in the hurdles. They need to be able to do more events. The college coaches need to be able to see more, right? They need to see more than we can do. Like Christian Taylor, for example, big jumper, and I know he ran the open four and the four by four a lot,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Down there in Florida. So that aligns with some of these high profile athletes. Okay. So now transition a little bit because you talked just a little bit about it earlier when you discussed technique versus your rhythm. What about rhythm versus power? So when do you chase each of those when it comes to hurdles, rhythm versus power?
I think it's simultaneous.
Mm,
I think our training style or my training style is more ends to the middle. And what I mean by that is instead of just focusing on one thing at a time, we're trying to hit everything at the same time and bring it together. So two ends of the spectrum.
mm,
So you have to have power and you have to have rhythm. And so we're not going to just go all power, 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 power and forget the rhythm. And we can't just go all rhythm and forget the power. So we work both ends of the spectrum. And then as we get closer to championship season, you start bringing them together.
mm,
So your power, your acceleration days, your med ball throws, your bounding, your plyos, that's your power days, and in your rhythm. Let's say for a short hurdler, that's your technique work over, early in the year 7 to 9 hurdles, late in the year 10 to 12 hurdles. Just drilling and establishing rhythm, lower heights, uh, discounted rates, for the hurdles. And then as you get into competition, you start putting those together. So that's how we train here. It's not just power at the beginning of the season and then rhythm at the end of the season. We're working both of those, from week one. Uh, and bringing them together as we get closer to when the lights come on and we need to run fast.
Outstanding. So you generated some questions for me, and I'm going to try to remember all of them because I'm soaking this all up to y'all to get to sit here and learn from one of the best in the business. Um, the approach that you're taking as a combined approach, right? We know we got to develop rhythm. We know we got to develop power. One of the first questions I have is, obviously you can have theory all day long and you can have plans all day long, but at the end of the day, we have to coach with our eyes.
Right.
So how is it, that when it's time for a kid to speed it up without losing a pattern, for example, right? Or losing certain things that you're trying to teach them? How do you know when it's time for them to move up to that next level and speed things up?
Great question. So really in rhythm, we start low heights, discounted, and touchdown times. Like I'm gonna use the short hurdles, for example. When the touchdown times are, faster than, what race pace really is for them, then it's time to move them to the next stage because they've mastered or have gotten really comfortable with
Hmm.
this exercise, this drill. So for example, let's say you have a young lady and you're doing 7 hurdles at a 2 foot discount for the hurdles. And the hurdles are at, 27 inches. And she's running, 0.910 touchdown times. When she's doing that, okay, now we have to change the stimulus because like that's fast for her. So either we move the hurdles out, a 1 foot discount, or we go from 27 to 30. But we have to change the stimulus. And then we establish, okay, it might take her a few weeks to hit those touchdown times again. And then when she hits those touchdown times again, then we change the stimulus again. So that's when they're running whatever your goal pace and they're starting to hit that goal pace in practice, smaller hurdles, discounted hurdles. Now we want to change the stimulus to get it as close to race pace or race distance or race height as possible. But we always start off, and I don't know if this is answering your question because I'm all over the place, but we we always start off. For example, like I want them to feel what 1-0 feels like touchdown times in between the hurdles. So whatever spacing, whatever height I can use to achieve that, that's where I start. And then as we get better and get comfortable, then we progress from there. Did that answer your question?
It did, right? Because what essentially I keep hearing, right? And that people don't know, hey, when do I progress an athlete and when do I add more speed to it? And from what I'm hearing is the reason you would progress an athlete is if they've mastered a specific stimulus that you have in front of them, right? Here is
Right,
the block. And we don't move on from this block until I know you've mastered this or got as close to mastery as possible.
right.
And then we add some nuances to put you back into failure. And I use
Yes.
the word loosely, right? And I told one of my athletes this last week, and she fell over the hurdles. I said, "Welcome to hurdling, young lady." And she got sad, and she was just crying. She said, "I'm not even mad that I fell. It's just the way that I fell, because she took the hurdle with her." I was like, "You're just a strong person, young lady. That's okay." Right? I was like, "You're not hurdling it until you fall."
Right.
But this is what
Yeah.
I told her. I said, "It's okay to be upset and feel those feelings, but listen, let me tell you something. Failure is never a bad thing. It has a bad rap and a bad connotation, but to be honest with you, the truth is, growth, or you could call it failure if you will to. Growth is failure, or sorry, failure is growth wrapped in pain.
Hmm.
That's what I told her. I said, growth is failure wrapped in pain, and you got to go through it. You can't go around. You can't go under it. You got to go through it. So
That's I just not to cut you off, but
go
just
ahead, go
to
ahead.
add on that. So I told my squad this weekend, like you got to take some L's to get some W's. You
There it
take
is.
2 L's, you put them together, and you
I
get a
like
W.
that.
So, but you need some L's first. You got learning opportunities,
Yeah.
not losses. Learning, you need them learning opportunities so you can get them wins.
All right, coach. I'm gonna borrow that if you don't mind.
Go
Two
ahead.
L's, right? That's dope, man. Listen. we gonna have a whole lot of signature quotes for y'all by the time we finish this show because that was the two L's, right? I mean, if you obviously if you're not watching the live on the YouTube channel right now, he's throwing up the W with the two L's connecting at the bottom points, right? Makes a W. So L's make W's. That's awesome. So again, kind of going back to is here's the mastery piece. Sometimes you got to slow things down. Now, could you back up a second because we may have some people who don't understand some of the terminology you're using.
Hmm.
I get it because I've been in the game for a while, but maybe somebody's new to this. So, could you explain discounted, right? The words how you're using discounted rates or discounted distances, right? Or and then also some of the terminology that you use within the hurdling in itself, like touchdown points, right? Or
Yeah.
touchdowns.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So discounted, we never practice at race space. And the reason why we never practice at race space, when you go to a competition, student athletes, they have adrenaline. They most of the time only do it like one time. You got people next to you, the lights are on, your blood's pumping, you're ready. So you only have to do it once. In practice, we're doing multiple reps. And so you don't have the same adrenaline as you do at a meet. So we want to practice good habits. We want to practice where they feel the same type of rhythm that they will feel in a race. We want that at practice. So we move the hurdles in so we can have those same type of efforts in practice, especially if you're doing 3 to 4 reps. The athlete's going to get tired. So we want to keep that same rhythm that they're going to have in a meet in practice. So we move the hurdles in. Some people do feet, some people do meters. I do both. I've done it so long to where I know, like, I wear a size 10 and a half shoes. So like I know where, a 1 foot discount, 2 foot discount from the original hurdle mark is in relation to meters. But we never practice at the regular marks. Everything is
Mhm.
always discounted because I want them to feel race rhythms. I want them to feel, being tight in between the hurdles, having to get their feet down and attacking and being small and create space. Um, and so that's what we do. So takeoff, touchdown. Takeoff is when you're actually taking off to, attack the hurdle. Touchdown um, is when your lead leg touches down off the hurdle.
Yeah.
So
So you measure that. You measure from the time they take off in front of the hurdle to the time that lead leg touches down after the hurdle.
I do that, and I with my stopwatch touchdown times. So when lead leg touches down off of hurdle number one to when the lead leg touches down off of hurdle number two,
Oh,
that's
wow.
touchdown time.
Okay. Oh, well, okay. So that's a different metric than I thought it was. Like, originally, I was thinking, hey, um, pop to go, right? So it's launch or turtle to your foot back down to the ground, right? That's what it sounds like. But it sounds like also take off to touchdown, but then also space to the next hurdle, take off to touchdown. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. So I think what you're saying, if I'm understanding, like there's flight time, air time. So when you take off to the hurdle, and then when the lead leg touches down, some people time that.
Gotcha.
I time when the lead leg comes off of hurdle number one, touchdown. You got your 3 steps. You're attacking hurdle number two
Hmm.
when the lead leg comes off of hurdle number two,
Gotcha. Touching down. So
touching
touchdown to
down.
touchdown after one and after two.
Yeah, and then I
Okay.
go all the way down the track. So if we're doing 11 hurdles, I'm doing touchdown times for each segment to see, okay, where are we falling off? Are we staying consistent? Are we getting faster? Where do we need to make adjustments? Is it the middle of the race? Is it the beginning of the race? Is it the end of the race? And as a hurdler, the only way you can do that is by getting touchdown times.
Mm. So you got a lot of splits in it. I get you
Oh
got a
yeah,
lot of splits going on.
a lot of
Um,
splits, a lot of
okay.
splits.
Do you have other people kind of splitting as well at the same time so that you can see if there's like an average or if there's any miscues that you might be missing?
Nah, not really. I've done it so long. I can just
Just pop it. All
just
right, so
popped
he's
in.
got the trigger finger over here. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube at this point, right? But he's got the finger going here and popping, letting people know, all right, this is what we're measuring here. Touchdown, touchdown to touchdown, or take off the touchdown. And each of those segments is going to have a time split to it. And what? I'm gonna take a sidestep here. So what tells you that something? What are the red flags immediately that outside of just the time variation? What are the red flags you look for while you're looking at those splits or while you're looking at their progression throughout the hurdles?
So if there's a major drop off with touchdown time, something is going wrong. Um, and it's mostly, a technical issue, or they're reaching in between the hurdle, or they're not running in between the hurdle, or their arms or something is going wrong. So in the touchdown times, like say if we're 1-1 through four hurdles, and then 5 through 8 we're 1-3. That's a problem. That's a big drop. So
Mhm.
where they're not ready to handle that speed or that distance. They're not strong enough. They're not fast enough. So I make adjustments. Either I move the hurdles in closer, or we sprint some more. It just varies. But red flags is really the inconsistency of a touchdown time. So if we're having
Mhm.
big drops in touchdown times, we got to go back and figure out why we're having that big drop in the touchdown time.
Do you often find that it's mainly just the mechanics, or I guess you could say, let me rephrase this. What percentage do you see? So like maybe what percentage do you see that it's typically sprint mechanics versus speed in itself, like their actual capability. I guess you could call it what the ceiling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, or something else.
I think a lot of it is mechanics, as well as fear.
Hmm.
And I say fear because if you are hitting touchdown times and you're very consistent, what happens? The hurdles start coming up extremely fast. So
Hmm.
if I am not prepared to take the hurdle at that fast clip, I'm going to put on the brakes and I'm going to slow down to make sure I'm safe to clear the hurdle.
Hmm.
So it's a combination, but a lot of times I see that is when they start actually doing it right, and they're snapping the trail leg, bringing the trail leg around, they're running off the hurdle, and they start running up on the hurdles fast. They start. It's scary because you're sprinting and the hurdles are coming up fast, and I don't know
Right.
what to do. So I'm gonna slow myself down so I can be safe, so I can hurdle cleanly without hitting the hurdle or falling. So I see that a
Hmm.
lot. Um, and then technique, as you get into a rhythm, sometimes athletes lose their technique, or just get wild and not disciplined.
Hurdler's going wild, y'all. So,
Yeah,
all right. So obviously you're in Missouri, right?
yeah,
Right, in Missouri, right? And
yeah.
and I know the weather isn't always great there, and
It's freezing right now. It's like
it's freezing.
this morning it was -6.
Sir, that's enough reason for me never to visit Missouri right there. Okay. I've actually been to Missouri several times, but
Mm,
but with that, we got programs around the country, right?
mhm.
And weather is typically an obstacle, especially like in the Midwest and upper part of the northern parts of the states. So how do you build hurdlers that in an environment where you don't have perfect weather, or you don't have perfect surfaces, or there's no perfect time to try to pull people together, right? So how do you
Mhm.
build hurdlers in that kind of hard environment?
A lot of drilling, a lot of technique work, um, like quick 3 steps, 1 steps, in the hallway. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter. We do have like a small turf room indoors, about 40 yards. So we can get maybe 2, 3 hurdles in there. Um, but a lot of technical work and a lot of acceleration work. And
Hmm.
then I also, for our, tempo or endurance or strength training, we do a lot of runs on high jump mats.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I need to hear this. You got to talk. You got to talk to us now. You got. Is it okay to share this secret sauce with
absolutely,
the
I,
high
I
jump?
I don't have any secrets. Like I don't have any secrets.
All right, y'all. All right.
So
So if you first of all, let me tie a step. If y'all listening to this live and you got questions, ask them in the chat. We will get to them. I want to know what are you doing on the high jump mat that is producing some results? I got to hear this.
so imagine your workout today. Let's say you're doing 4 to 5 200s.
Mhm.
You know, anywhere from 30 to 35 seconds. On a 200. You can do the same work, and you probably get more from running on a high jump mat because it's not stable. So you're working harder, trying to keep your posture, your frequency. And so we're just running the high jump mat for a time, 35 seconds. We'll go
Wow.
35 seconds, and then we'll come off the mat and then do 35 seconds worth of core. Uh, I'll give you last week our workout. We had the short sprinters go 30 seconds on, 30 seconds core, 30 seconds on. That was one
Woo.
set. And we did 6 to 8 sets of that. And then I had
Mm.
the long sprinters. We did 45, 45, 45.
Oh,
But they
that
feel
sounds
it.
brutal.
I mean, they feel it, and it's safe because it's instead of being on a hallway all the time or
Yeah.
wherever whatever surf concrete, it's less pounding. So we have to be creative, here with the stuff that we do.
I
That's
love
one
it.
example.
I love it. I don't. I've been around this. I've been around
Mm,
track and field for a very long time,
mm,
and I've heard some things, but I've seen people run on the high, but I've never occurred to me to go, hey, we could use this as like a hit type of workout,
yeah.
right? Because that's essentially what it kind of boils down to. It's a hit type of workout, and is it mostly like high knees, or are you trying to do anything else besides the high knees, kind of like quick feet or anything like that?
It's mostly high knees
Okay,
for the most part. Yeah, mostly high
wow.
knees.
Do they look at you
Uh,
crazy when you first tell them?
yeah. And once you do it one time, like but like the first time, like we run on the high jump mat, we here. I'm like, yeah, we go right here. Space is small. I don't need a whole lot of room. I
Yep.
can rotate y'all in and out. We get it done.
All
We
right,
get
y'all.
it
High
done.
jump mats. Now you're gonna have about 400 coaches across the country, and somebody look. The high jump coach is gonna be pissed off because he can't get his high jump kids on the mat because the hurdlers are running on the high
Mm,
jump mats.
mm.
Um, all right, except for me, because I coach all of them. I coach the hurdlers and the high jumpers. So yeah, I get it by right. All right. So with the coaches out there now, they may be listening and they're hearing, all right, well, you got to be creative sometimes. Sometimes you don't have the perfect stuff, the perfect environment, the perfect space, the perfect surfaces, the perfect whatever, right? Weather, unless you're in Texas for some reason, right? Because I don't understand. This is always like beautiful. I know it gets cold down there too. I'm Josh in Texas. Don't come for me, Texas. I'm just joking. So you are producing hurdler after hurdler after hurdler after hurdler, right? Obviously, you've got a system that is sustainable for success. And most coaches want to know, well, how do I build up this pipeline? How do I get people interested in hurdlers? And maybe even like let's take a step back. Maybe you got some new coaches out there who don't even know how to evaluate a hurdler in the first place. Where do you start?
I start with my best athletes. Uh,
Hmm.
if you're fast, you can jump. We're gonna try it. We're gonna see what it looks like. I said before, I think the hurdlers are the most athletic people in track and field. You can sprint, you can hurdle. You're basically sprinting with obstacles. Um, so I start with my best athletes and just kind of see, what they look like, flexibility, understanding, and the biggest thing is like no fear. Um, they're not scared of anything. To be an effective and efficient hurdler, you have to have a sense of reckless abandonment.
Mhm.
So, just not being afraid to try is very, very important. And if you're not afraid to try, then it might take you a minute to learn, but everybody has the ability to learn. So
Right.
that's where I start, and then I start with um, as far as like a technical component, I start with teaching the trail leg and lead arm. So
Hmm.
one thing that I see sometimes with novice hurdlers, and they look they hear the term or getting coached, look at the watch, to where they're looking at the watch and they're coming here.
Mhm.
I no knock to anybody that teaches that, but I don't believe in that. And the reason why I don't believe in that is because if this is a normal running motion, if you can see me, like you're
Right.
sprinting, you're here, cheek to cheek, face cheek, butt cheek. When you do this, when you do this is not a normal running motion.
Right.
So now when I come here, for me to get my arm back down, I have to swing it out.
Correct.
So now I'm swinging and I'm swimming, I'm turning butter, when I'm looking at the watch here. So what we teach is wrist higher than the elbow. So if the
Mm.
wrist is higher than the elbow, then I can punch down. I mean, you might have a slight diagonal, but if the wrist is higher than the elbow, I can get it right down back into my pocket. So hurdling, wrist higher than the elbow. So that's one thing that I work on very early with the hurdlers that I work with, and the trail leg. So um, me personally, I don't really coach the lead leg too much. I mean, we do a couple of one step drills, but I drill the hell out of a trail leg. We do a
Mm.
lot of ISO trail leg drills. We talk about getting the trail leg high and tight. What I mean by that is high up into that trail knee, high up into your armpit here. If you have deodorant on, you should have deodorant on your kneecap, because your trail leg is so high and tight up under your armpit. And then you got a bug on your knee. So with that lead arm, you swiping the bug off your knee. And I can't really do it because I'm sitting down, but
Yeah.
we do a lot of trail leg work very, very early. Um, I believe in the trail leg. I believe if you have an efficient trail leg, that takes care of everything else. So
Yeah. That man, I would tell you that those are some nuggets right there. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this on maybe the Guild podcast or just in an audio somewhere, you couldn't see this, but Coach Kenny was hurdling in an office chair almost here, doing trail leg drills, almost like pull throughs.
mm,
It's a sight to see. So I implore you to go to go come to the YouTube channel and watch that. That was fun to watch.
mm.
Um, I would try it, but I feel like my hip would take would disconnect and then run away and pack up and leave. So, but yeah, so and that's one of the things we talked about. And I said I would bring this up, just full
Mm,
transparency, because I wanted to make sure that people understood that this isn't coach's theory. This is stuff that works, right? And we had a talk, and he had posted something in the Track Tribe, and he was working with one of his hurdlers, and I thought it was a really good video. And he kept saying stuff, and they're like punch down, punch down, punch down, and it cued me. I was like, okay, wait a minute, coach, that's something different. What are you talking about? And so, obviously, he brought to my attention. She's talking about drive that kind of punching forward, punching down, with using that wrist higher than the elbow. But also, what he brought to my attention was the positioning of the trail leg and bringing it actively, pulling it through your hurdle, right, your technique.
hmm
And so, for me, when I was coming up, we were always taught to get your lead leg down fast, right? Snap down with your lead leg. And what you showed me was it's more effective to have an active trail leg pull through and in a high position because you run off the hurdle faster and better. And
hmm
then when you showed me, I was like, "Holy crap!" That was a moment of if that was an epiphanic moment, I guess you could call it. Like, it was epiphany. And I was like, oh, because we're so used to snap down, snap down, snap down. But I saw the position change when you snap down versus when, like you said, I'm going to focus on that trail leg, bringing it through, and now I'm in a better running position.
hmm
So this is in theory, y'all. This is stuff that actually works, and we tried it with our hurdlers, and I'm gonna tell you, there's a huge difference with them just pulling that hurdle, that trail leg through, like you said.
Yeah. So I think, if you think about it and you're actually standing up, if you can stand it up, you're watching or listening, you stand up and you go through the hurdle motion. If you try to snap that lead leg down, fast. You jump, try to snap it down. What happens is your trail leg a lot of times gets left behind. And if it gets left behind and your trail leg is not to the front 12 o'clock where your knee is coming down the track, then you are waiting for the trail leg to get around. And if you're
Hmm.
waiting for the trail leg to get around, you're off balance and you're slowing yourself down. Your your trail leg has to be in the front of your body when the lead leg hits down or
Yeah.
it touches down. If it's not, then you're fighting yourself. You're gonna twist, you're gonna be out of position, and you can't push or sprint to the next hurdle. So what we focus on is pulling that trail leg to the front, and by the time it gets to the front, the lead leg will be in position. That way, when the lead leg touches down, you can run off the hurdle. So we don't talk about snapping the lead leg down for that very reason. You snap the lead leg down, 9 times out of 10, you're snapping the lead leg down and the trail leg is not in the right position. So now
Hmm.
you're fighting yourself. You're defeating the purpose of being able to run off the hurdle. So
Yeah.
I wish I could show y'all a video, but if you go try it and just maybe over a chair or something and you try to snap your lead leg down, notice how your trail leg is still in that position to where it's not all the way to the front.
Right.
But if you go and pull your trail leg to the front as fast as possible, pull it to the front, snatch it. Notice how much more efficient you are trying to push off of that hurdle or whatever you're jumping over. And
Right.
we don't jump hurdles, but I'm just using this as an example. So we talk about punching the lead arm, pushing into the hurdle, punching the lead arm, and pulling the trail leg. Three P's: push, punch, and pull.
You heard it, y'all. Push, punch, and pull. Don't get kids suspended thinking that's a fight. Don't do that. Right? Push, punch, pull, and it is effective. And I've seen it. And as a matter of fact, if you're wondering what he's talking about, find the Track Tribe on the school app or platform, SKOOL, the Track Tribe. Just look for us. Free to get in. It'll always be free. Um, and he had some pictures posted in there which showed the drastic difference of snapping a lead leg down versus pulling your trail leg through. And
Mm-hmm.
you could see that the athlete initially, when they snapped the lead leg down, they were like a little off center, right? Off balance, where their center of mass or their, as you go, like center of gravity was just not under the body
Mm-hmm.
versus where the trail leg pulled through and you could see where they had more control and were able to force themselves, or I gotta say force themselves, but be able to put more force or apply force into the ground to accelerate forward towards the next obstacle, obviously being a hurdle. So I implore you, if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you go into the Track Tribe and look at that. And then you can ask questions as well, right? Because that's what we're all about, is connecting and bringing knowledge and helping each other. And that was a mentorship moment for me because of what I've been told. But there are so many myths out there from what we thought was real. It wasn't that it was stupid, it was just what we knew, what we thought we knew at the time. And with better science and with better understanding, we inevitably get better, right? So with
Mm-hmm.
that, coach, I have some questions because I'm having fun here, man. I'll be honest. I don't want this to end. This is exciting, man. What do you notice that most hurdle coaches miss when they're training athletes that you kind of pick up on and have to retrain outside of that trail leg, obviously, right?
They don't sprint enough.
Mm,
I noticed that I have a young lady. She's a freshman now in high school. She came and she hurdled. That's all she did, and she has some talent. She has some upside. And we were having a conversation today, and so this weekend she's running the 60 hurdles and the 60.
mhm,
And she was like, "Coach, why am I in the 60?" And I was like, "If you want to run fast in the hurdles, you gotta get fat. We gotta sprint."
right.
So I see a lot of times hurdle coaches, okay, we're gonna hurdle every day. Or not every day, but we're hurdling 3 times a week. I think that sometimes it's good depending on what you're doing, but you got to sprint. You got to move the hurdles out. You got to teach them acceleration patterns. They have to learn how to sprint. So I think
Right.
that's the biggest thing that hurdle coaches could miss sometimes is they're not sprinting enough. We
Mhm,
sprint anytime we hurdle. we're going to sprint. Sometimes we sprint before. This is a nugget too. Whatever whatever event that you have your athlete in. So like say your hurdler is on the 4x1. Sometimes you need to sprint before you hurdle.
Mm,
And the reason for that in the meet, most of the times, well, at least at the college level, the 4x1 is before the hurdles. So everything that we do in practice is training for a competition. So if I know that you are on that 4x1 and you got to sprint, we're going to sprint, then we're going to come back and then probably do a hurdle workout. So your body is used to that.
mhm,
Or if you aren't on the 4x1, we're always sprinting after practice. So it could be, like I love 90s. I love 120s on the curve. And this is a nugget. This is specific to me. I love 120s on the curve, especially for short hurdlers, because on the curve, I feel like you're more frequent. When you get on the straight, you tend to open up. On the curve, you're trying to get your feet down. So it mimics more so the rhythm in between the hurdles.
mm,
Another thing that we like to do is I like, the wickets face down or cones or sticks, whatever you have, um, at a discounted. So 1.83 meters for the women,
mhm,
1.94 meters for the men. So I'll put the first one at where the first hurdle is. We'll go 30 meters at that spacing. And so now you're mimicking the rhythm of the stride length in between the hurdles. So maybe before we go do a hurdle workout, that is part of our warm up where we're getting our feet down and learning how to be frequent. So,
right. Yeah, I think what you're saying is on point because I mean, I'm honestly transparency. Initially, we were far thought about, hey, let's hurdle, 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 but no, 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 you got to learn how to sprint, right?
mm,
And you should see one of my athletes too. I'm kind of laughing about it because in the back of my mind, I'm cracking up because I could see myself at practice the other week, and one of our newer hurdlers, she goes, "We got to run too." Yeah, 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 you do. You got to run. So, question, just for transparency and understanding, um, if you have a high CNS day, right, central nervous system day, right, and you know you're attacking, do you when you finish with that hurdle portion, do you pull them more into a rhythmic tempo after that, or do you try to still blast them within that sprint framework?
if it's a high CNS day, we're gonna blast them in that sprint framework.
Okay.
So high CNS day, we're doing 30s, 40s. I'm always finish with something fast,
Hmm.
like a 90, 120. If I wanted long, 150. Uh, but we're always gonna blast them with something fast. I just don't feel like if it's we're working on trying to be fast, finishing with a tempo. Now, if it's a tempo day, say I'm doing tempo, I'm not afraid to finish with something fast.
Mm,
But if I'm starting off fast, I'm gonna finish fast. But a
gotcha.
tempo day, I'm not afraid to. Coaching is an art, so I learned this from um, Charles Ryan. Charles Ryan, he's the head coach at San Jose State now. He did a presentation, and he said coaching is an art, and you have to learn the rules to know how to break the rules. Um,
Mm,
and every athlete is different, and as coaches, we are the artists. The athlete is the canvas, and we have to paint the picture.
right.
And so some athletes every athlete is very different and every painting is going to be different, so you got to learn what's best for them. But I say all of that to say just being creative being creative is very very important. So for example, like a tempo day, we're doing like repeat I'm gonna say repeat 300s, maybe 3 to 4 300s. It's tempo. uh But I'm not afraid to finish with like a fast 50, or a couple of fast 50s. So
Yeah.
like in a race, you got to learn how to, finish. So your body's fatigued, you know, and you can finish with a fast 50, technical sound.
Yeah,
Like you learn how to run rounds, you learn how to finish races. So if
gotcha.
I if if I go off on tangents a lot, please excuse me because I just be I be talking and then I'll just go all over the place.
Man, listen, you're fine with me. If they don't like it, they can always fast forward, right? I love hearing authenticity, right? And people have a lot of theories. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of theories out there. There's a lot of science out there. And I've often said this is you can take somebody's plan, but it doesn't necessarily work for the athlete you have in front of you.
Right,
And
right on.
we have to coach what's in front of us, not what we think is in front of us, right?
Mm,
And that's a big difference. And I try to encourage coaches to just, hey, it's great to have some ideas and to get some mentorship, but you got to find the things that work for your athletes because those are the things that work for your athlete.
mm,
And principles never change. Real principles don't change over time. They're timeless. Principles are timeless. No matter what you're studying, the principles will always be timeless. The approaches change and the information that changes, but the principles do not,
right, right.
right? If you look at history, principles don't change. And you can argue me down. You ain't got to listen to me. Go do the research for yourself, right? There's certain principles that just don't change. So obviously, there are some things that work timeless, time and time again. I think one of the guys on Twitter, one of the sports sciences guys, Fred Duncan, he talks about those things, man. He looks at old stuff from the 70s and 80s and look at what they're doing,
Mm,
look at what they're doing, look what they're doing. But you got all these other scientists that say all these things. Like, come on, let's get real. Let's get back to the simple stuff. So the question here is now, there are some principles that matter when it comes to getting to the next level, right? This is the fun segue. I'm gonna watch how I do this, right? There are a lot of kids who are interested in running at the next level, and the majority of high school kids won't run track and field at the next level. There's a lot of space and opportunity there, but most of them won't do it. You have a pipeline of really good athletes and developmental athletes coming into your program, and you're producing a lot of results for them. People can see it, and now they're wondering what it is that you do, right? So if an athlete was interested in joining your program, or you were interested in that athlete joining your program, what are some of the do's and don'ts of the recruiting process that you would lay out there so people have a very firm understanding of the expectations?
oh, that's a great question. Loaded question, but great question.
Go for it.
Uh, I think, some of the do's are if you're interested in a program, reach out first. Closed mouths don't get fed. I tell people all the time. So if you don't say nothing, people now there's I don't know, hundreds of thousands of athletes across the country. And, a lot of college coaches recruit internationally as well. So like that's even more. And we miss people sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think, the first do is, research schools that, have your major, size, location, things like that. And research the program. So and this brings me to a don't. Um, I find it somewhat offensive, not all the time. I don't charge it to my heart, but when people say, okay, I'm running such and such a time, I need a full ride at your university.
Whoa.
Oh, you'll be surprised at the type of emails that we get. So I say like do your research on what scores in the conference. So a lot of
Mhm.
times college coaches like you're not getting a big scholarship if you can't come in and score right away.
Right.
They can give you some money, but the more versatile you are, the more valuable you are, the more money you can get.
Mhm.
If you're a one trick pony, that's all you can do. You're not going unless you're a guaranteed national champion.
Mhm.
Guaranteed. Um, the stats say you're not really getting the full ride. Um, Research the divisions. Track and field is one of those sports to where you can be successful anywhere. It doesn't matter what division, Division One, Division Two, Division Three. You've had Olympians that have gone Division Three. We've had Olympians that's gone NAIA, which our university is. So do your research. I think the biggest thing is finding a program that is good for you, finding a coach that you believe in, that believes in you, and y'all have a plan to get you to where you want to be. Um, this is a this is a don't, and this is more so for like high school coaches. So a high school coach, uh, sometimes high school coaches sometimes reach out to college coaches and say, "Hey, I have this kid, I have this young lady, that would be great for your program X, Y, and Z." And then okay, so we reach out and we talk to the student athlete, and the student athlete, if they're from Florida, oh, I don't want to go that far.
Mhm.
So like high school coaches, a do for you, like when you're helping your student athletes find programs or looking for programs, ask them what are they looking for.
Yeah.
So I get it all the time. Oh, coach, like I ain't really trying to go that far from home. Well, your high school coach just told me like he was interested in you. So it's just like communicate, just communicate, um, on all levels. Uh, Express what you want, express what you're looking for. For us here, we have developmental athletes. We have I consider top tier athletes. We have a range, and so for me, it's here, and this is a plug to CMU. Since
Good.
since I'm on, it's more so like your mindset. Uh, so I don't have a problem with taking a developmental athlete and working with them if you have the right mindset. Um, I like to be around like minded people. Nick Saban said high achievers don't like mediocre people, and mediocre people don't like high achievers. Like I
Right.
believe in that. So I'm just looking for somebody that wants to be elite at everything they do. I have a standard of excellence to where like everything matters to me. The little details matter to me. We're in a sport to where a tenth of a second could be the difference between you sitting in the stands and you being in the final. A tenth of a second, a hundredth of a second could be the difference between a contract, a gold medal, or nothing at all.
Yeah.
So when you have that mindset, that perspective, it changes like what you need to do to be great. And so I don't believe if you're gonna do something, you got to be elite at it. At least try to be elite. We're not
Mhm.
gonna you know excuse my language, half-ass, uh, anything that we do. And so, like in recruiting at Central Methodist, that's what I'm looking for. Can you be great in the classroom? Can you be great in life? Can you be great on the track? If you can do that, this is the place for you. If you're looking for some other stuff, this ain't it.
Right.
I'm not it.
It's got to fit. I think you dropped some good nuggets here because a lot of coaches, and I've done this, I'm guilty of this too, right? I think, oh, I got a good athlete, right? And I think they'd be great because I know the coach. I'm like, oh man, I see what you do. This would be perfect. But again, you got to go back and ask that athlete, hey, where are you willing to go?
Yeah, yeah.
What part of the country? That's one of the questions I started asking a few years ago. Hey, what part of the country are you willing to go to? Right? Do you want to stay in the southeast? You want to go up north? Are you okay going out west? Are you okay with going away? You know,
Do
and then
you
there's
want
certain
big? Do you
athletes
want small?
that part, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So you're on point, right? So I think that's a good call out for coaches. I was talking to a coach out west, and I don't know if it's okay to mention the coach's name. Um, I think I'll leave the person nameless for now. But this coach said, just because you hit a mark one time doesn't mean that that's you are, excuse me, qualified for that scholarship,
right. Yeah,
right? What's your average, right? And if you hit that mark more than one time, then if you hit it once, then that gets an eyeball.
mm,
If you hit it more than once and several times, then that gets you some conversations.
yep.
And to your
Consistency.
point, you got to talk,
Hmm.
right?
Consistency. So people, student athletes will reach out and this is another don't. Do not lie about your times or your
Mm,
marks. Do not do that because the first thing we're going to do, we're going to look you up on milesplit, athletic.net. And if you lying about your times, the email is getting deleted. Because
yeah,
if you're going to lie about that, you're going to lie about something else.
yeah,
So don't lie. Just be upfront. You know, these are my times because we're going to look.
right,
It's all out there. So we're going to look. But to your point, the consistency is, you know, important. You know, just for example, we're talking about hurdles. I'm gonna use a male hurdler. Um, if you are, I get an email, coach. You know, I ran 14.5 in the 110s, but you ran 14.5 one time, and everything else is like 15.5, 15.4. I'm gonna think that 14.5 is a fluke.
right.
It was hand time, or the wind was at 5.6 or something like that. It's because you only ran it, one time. You're a 15.4, 15.5 hurdler. You're not a 14.5 hurdler. So show your consistency. Be able to show your consistency, and it goes back to the point we were talking about earlier. Show what else you can do. So
Yeah,
maybe you are a 15.5 hurdler, but I'm a 15.5 hurdler that can high jump. I'm a 15.5 hurdler that maybe can long jump or triple jump, or I can run the 400. Like show your versatility. You know, show what else you can do because maybe that 15.5 doesn't get you the money that you want just running 15.5, but you can do X, Y, and Z. And now that 15.5 looks more attractive because okay, they're an athlete, they're a team player, they can do this, this, and this. They can help me this. There's some development here. But if I look online and all I see is 15.5 and that's all you do, like me personally, I'm not spending money on that.
right. And what you're saying, it resonates, and the reason why it resonates is because I'm getting this echo across the country. And one of the things I love to do is I talk to the college coaches because I want to find out about their program. Because as a high school coach, it's my duty to ensure that there's a fit for the athletes that I coach with the programs that they want to go to.
Right?
And I think there's a disservice on a lot of coaches that don't investigate what those programs are. Great, they're not every elite program has elite coaching. Sometimes they just have fast kids and
Mm-hmm.
terrible cultures, right? I've seen that too. And then I've also seen some really great cultures and kids really developing over time. So you really need to know who the coaches are and try to talk to them and find out about them and find out about their program. But also for the athlete out there, stop being entitled, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to get your butt up and swallow your pride and go make a phone call. Nobody's, you know, in this world of social media, people are so used to them engaging with them. Hey, come find me. If you don't go pick up, you know what? Let me get off my soapbox. Let me be quiet. See, coach, I'm blaming you. This is your fault somehow, some
This
way.
is all good. All good.
I'm joking. Okay, so what are some of the recruiting standards? Because I know that's one of the questions. I know Coach Billups called you out on that earlier. It was like, "Hey, we want to know your recruiting standards, right?" I'm messing with you, Coach. Um, but no. So what are some of the things that you look for in an athlete? I know you talked about the attitude and the want to be elite mentality, but as far as the times are concerned, what gets the conversation going for you at CMU?
Coach Billups did call me out on recruiting standards, and it's crazy because although like I have recruiting standards, I don't at the same time.
Mm,
And the reason I don't is because I look for will they be a great fit for us here? Like everybody can't handle what we do at Central Methodist. Everybody can't handle this small town. So I look for yes, you have to have a certain skill level, but that skill level can vary. Um, I've had a 15 in our conference right now. I'll give you an example. I'm gonna use the ladies short hurdles. You basically have to be running 14, 14.7, 14.8 to
mhm,
make our final. Um, at nationals, like 14.0, 13.9 um, to make nationals and to be very competitive in AIA. I've seen 15.5, 15.6 hurdlers and said to myself, I need that. And I need that because there's untapped potential. There's a skill set. They might just be starting out and they don't know what they're doing yet. But I feel like if they come in a program in this environment, they're going to be successful. So, like, that's why I say I have, recruiting standards, but I don't as well because I can see somebody and be like, okay, in this type of training with this training group, they're going to blossom. I'll give you example, there was a young lady that came in. She transferred in. She was a freshman at another university last year,
Mhm.
ran 59. But the first time I saw her, I was like, who is that? And it worked out to where, she ended up coming, she saw what we, were doing and how we were developing 400 runners. This weekend, she split 56 too.
Mm,
We've only had her for 4 months, 5 months.
and that's
But it's
indoor.
just, this is indoor. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's more so like it's the mindset. It's you know makeup, uh, what I see. But if I had to, Coach Billups, this is for you. If I had to put some numbers down, you know, ladies 12.5, 25.5, 58. That's what and then a hurdler, if you can hurdle and jump or hurdle and sprint, come on,
Yeah.
come on, because I can get you right, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm still got a lot to learn, but if you can hurdle and sprint, hurdle and jump, come to CMU.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm what's buddy name from Suge Knight.
Not, not Suge Knight. Suge
Come
Knight.
come to Death Row. Come to CMU.
You don't want coaches dancing all in your videos, right?
Come on, but the crazy, but I'm the coach that do be dancing too though. So
Yeah. That, you know what though, but that's what makes the connection, right? Because you already talked about communication, trust, and family,
yeah.
right? And if you're unwilling to engage with your kids, and I think we talked about this online for a second, that whole language of Gen Alpha is just interesting, right? Um, Between Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it's like, what are
Mm,
you saying sometimes?
mm,
But that's what stands out for athletes, right?
mm, mm,
Um, and if you haven't had that experience with a coach yet, then maybe you want to look at CMU's program, y'all, right? Because they got the sauce, they got the juice there. And I wouldn't have coaches on these live sessions that didn't know what they were doing or felt like they had low integrity and were out for to hurt people or out for just themselves. The reason why we pulled all this stuff together is so that we can, talk with each other, cut through the noise, cut through all the fluff, as ChatGPT calls it, right? I
mm,
can't stand that word. Um, try that no fluff, right? Ugh. Um, but to get to the real within track and field, because there is so much passion out here right now that is being diminished because
mm,
of poor coaching, poor mentorship, poor leadership, poor teaching, um, and poor teammates.
mm,
And
mm.
I think it's important that we find the people who really love this sport, get them together so that we don't feel so uh, segregated or alone, right? Because the people who love this sport are going to be the ones that carry that passion into the next generation. And they need to see that you know, track and field doesn't get a lot of love sometimes, but man, there are people who love this sport. And I
Right on,
mean downright love it.
right on.
Obviously, Coach Kenny's one of them. I'm one of them, man. This is a passion for me. And talking to my wife, and I told her sometimes I just get teary-eyed because I get so emotional about this because I absolutely 100% love this sport with every fiber in my being. Um, and I love being around people like yourself, coach, who you can tell I just love this thing, man. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I love my athletes and I love the process, right? You can tell when somebody loves the process. All right, coach. So I know we're kind of, I don't want to overcook your grits and I don't want to overcook our viewers' grits out there as well, because I know they're listening in and they may have a lot more questions about hurdling and technique and sustainability. And that gives us an opportunity for a part two or maybe a coach's corner where we
Mm.
can get together and talk. Um, I have two final questions for you, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. The first one is, what is your absolute favorite memory or thing? I can say, what's your favorite story about track and field or favorite memory about track and field? Doesn't matter when, where, or how it happened. What is your favorite memory of track and field?
Uh, Favorite memory of track and field. So I have two. Um, that's hard. I have a couple. I think one, so I ran AAU track, and when I was 11 years old, we were the AAU Junior Olympic champions in the 4x1. And
Mm.
then, um, at the time, Tony Baselli, he was a offensive for the Jaguars. I'm originally
Yeah.
from Jacksonville. So he came and, presented, some medals to us. And I like, that was cool to me.
Wow.
Um, and then two other memories, favorite memories. Uh, the first time we won a championship at CMU. So like that was the first, championship in school history.
Mhm.
Um, and my dad got to see it.
Wow.
So he was there for that. And then I think the third time, or the third favorite memory. So um, I'm blessed to have. We're able. This is a private school. I know, like some state schools, you have to keep like church and the school separated, right?
Hmm.
So we have the ability here to where we're a Methodist school, but it's very diverse as far as denomination and stuff like that. So I have about 15 student athletes on the team that we all go to church together.
Mm.
Um, and so it's not just one moment, but I think we started doing it last year. And since then, the experience of not just those 15, but the entire team has shifted. So,
Mm.
like that moment and us, that connection has really changed my outlook on a lot of things. And, like my purpose for what it is that I'm doing, why I'm here at Central Methodist, why I'm physically here right now. So that memory, and it's still going, like it hasn't stopped yet. So um, that was like a real shift, or has been a real shift in my life that I'm very appreciative and blessed to speak on.
Man. That man, I love to hear that. And again, it just goes back to what you said earlier, communication, trust, and family, right? You got to be able to talk to each other and get real authentic with each other and be able to tell each other the truth. And that takes an immense amount of trust from the get-go, right? Because if you don't have trust and nobody cares what you're saying, there's no real connection, and you can't take on faith what a person might be giving you and assume positive intent. And then the family portion of it is I keep hearing it over and over and over again. I don't know if anybody else is hearing it, but I keep hearing it. The people that the people that you have, your people, the university people, your people, your athletes, and the university's athletes. I say that kind of like comprehensively, right? Um, but the idea that you all come together and do things together to make sure that you're not just successful athletically, not just successful academically, but also that you become a good human being, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That you're productive, that you're a citizen of the world and you become significant or impacting it. If you can't do great things, then do small things in a great way.
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's the power behind what I hear you saying. All right, coach. Such a powerful session here. How do people get in contact with you, or how do they follow you? If they want to have follow up with, asking questions, or want to talk to you, want to get to know you, want to learn more about your program, what's the best ways to get in contact with you?
Great question. Or so on Instagram at cut the check. That at cut the check. And then Twitter, it's at Coach Kenny with two underscores. But if you type in cut the check, I think that might come up. I'll put my email in the chat, but it's KR Anderson at centralmethodist.edu. And my cell phone number, 904-524-3987. Like I'm an open book. Everything that I've learned, from experience. I've learned from watching other people, and I've learned from mostly asking questions and not being afraid to ask questions. So I know we didn't get maybe into a lot of the detail on hurdle specifics, but I'm in season, so take that. I'm focused on my group, but if anybody has questions, Instagram, Twitter, reach out. Um, Text, email, and I, do my best to take time to, talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. It could be sprinting, it could be hurdling, 400, whatever it is, whatever questions you have. But Instagram at Cut the Check. I'm on Facebook. Twitter is at Coach Kenny. And then KR Anderson at centralmethodist.edu is my email.
All right, there you have it, y'all. And I just found that somebody did type in the chat that they're saying they're from St. Louis. Coach Loose Change. I see that says I'm from St. Louis. Mat runs is a staple for indoor training,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
So, all right, apparently I need to get out more. I'm, I'm lost in the sauce.
Mhm.
Coach, man, I really appreciate you. Listen, also, don't forget, y'all, you can also follow and find Coach Kenny in the Track Tribe. He's our, and I use this term, and he probably going to beat me up a little bit for saying it, but the hurdle guru.
I've none.
I know I know. See, I knew it. Don't beat me up. Listen, he's a well accomplished and a very knowledgeable coach, and I use the term guru loosely because people tend to use it as a connotation like you know all, and I don't think that Coach Kenny approaches anything in that manner. He has a humble spirit about him, or as they say, an humble spirit about him. He's always constantly learning, willing to share. Any question I know I've ever had in our interactions that he's like, hey, no, this is what I see, and he never says no, you're stupid, no, you're wrong, not publicly anyway. No, I'm joking. No, he never does that, and he says, "Hey, this is what I do, and this is what has worked for us." Um, I don't, I don't know anybody who's ever said a bad word about him. And if they did, they said it real privately and very, very low because they probably get jumped. Everybody loves Coach Kenny, man, including myself. I really enjoy his company. I really enjoy learning from him. And, I continue to watch and see what he's doing. And he's doing great things over there at CMU. You heard his handles on Instagram as well as Twitter, but you can also find them in the Track Tribe on the school app SKOOL. Just search for the Track Tribe. Again, I'm Track Coach Jones, and just request membership. We do screen because we don't want any spam in there. We don't want any nonsense in there, and I do moderate it for that. So if you come in there harassing people, I will give you the steel toe of all steel toes. We're not playing those games. We want to make sure that this place is safe for not only coaches, but also parents and athletes as well. So if you got questions or you just want to learn about track and field or just want to be around people because you love the sport, man, this is the community for you. And that's what we're trying to build here. Coach, any last words before we skedaddle out of here as you head towards your mat runs?
Um, we actually did some mat runs today, and we were on we got this assault bike. We were on that today too. Um,
Nice.
but if you sign up for school tonight, tomorrow I'm dropping the hurdle calculator that I use. Touchdown times, 100 hurdles, 110 hurdles, 60 hurdles, 300 hurdles, 400 hurdles. So I need y'all to go subscribe to school, get in, get approved, all that, because I'm gonna drop some stuff tomorrow. in the group in the app, so you can check that out. And but at the end of the day, coaches, you know, learn. Closed mouths don't get fed. So try to learn as much as possible. Coach your athletes. Take care of your athletes. Help your athletes to be great people. And then everything else will take care of itself. And then athletes, if you're listening, just work hard. Pay attention to the little things. Ask questions. Ask for feedback. Become a student of the sport, student of the craft. And then let's get it. Let's get it. And
Absolutely,
also,
yeah.
if you're a senior, it's time for you to come earn your wings. Come earn your wings.
You guys better come earn your wings. Of course, I'm hoping I can get a couple of these kids that we have on our senior roster and see if it's a good fit. First of all, if they want to come out that way, right? But again, we just looking at some of the hurdlers, and I'm excited. This is one of my first years coaching hurdles. I've coached a lot of track and field. Don't get me wrong. So just full transparency, I'm learning from him, but at the same time, I know enough to get our kids to where they need to be. And I understand hurdling, period. But man, just the opportunity to listen at the feet of someone who has produced so many great hurdlers has been an amazing opportunity. And again, the school app SKOOL, and I just signed that. I'm sorry. Well, not sorry, but it's my mom's. My mom is an ASL interpreter. Fun fact about me, and I have I learned sign language, a little bit of sign language, enough to have a conversation through sign language dance back in the day. Shh, don't tell anybody. That's a fun fact. Um, but I do want you guys to come in and connect with us, man. And if you got questions, ask them. If you got stories, let's tell them. If you want some things you want to share. But the most important thing right now is that you come in and have fun and join the community. And Coach said he is going to drop the touchdown calculator. I'm calling that right. Touchdown
Yeah.
calculator. People will come in with football terminology. They're going football coaches going to jump on join us now.
I'm like,
I'm excited about that, and I'm looking forward to using that because I had never thought about timing that particular piece of metric. So I'm really excited about seeing it calculated myself. But you can only get it in the Track Tribe. Don't forget, come on in. It's free, no charge. We try to share as much information as possible. Coach, I cannot thank you enough. This has been one of the most enjoyable conversations. All of them have been great, by the way, but this has been one of the most enjoyable conversations. The that I've had and I'm really excited for where the track tribe is going. I'm really excited for where CMU is going with you at the helm and leading the way. And I'll do all I can to make sure I support CMU and the Eagles and make sure that we get kids to come and earn their wings. And Coach, I want to thank you for spending some time with us. I appreciate you because I know it's freezing cold out there, and we've got Coach Cesar Morales saying, "You ain't lying about those mat runs and come earn your wings." All right, Coach, we see you. We appreciate you. That was a shout out. And I want to make sure that you guys go check out CMU's um, information, check out their program. And Coach, thank you so much for sharing such valuable information. We're going to have to do a round two. And I don't see no other way around. We're going to dig deeper into these hurdles, and hopefully the
yeah,
coaches will come connect. Y'all,
yeah.
listen, this has been another Track Tribe production. Coach Kenny Anderson, the goat of the hurdles, the guru of I can't think of anything that rhymes with guru. So not a rapper. He's gonna shake his head. He'll say he's not the He say he's not a guru, but I'll tell you what, man. What you can't deny him is that he is a champion in his own right. Not only literally as a program, but also as a person for track and field and for athletes. A champion for good human beings and people who are soft hearts. And so we appreciate you, coach, and keep doing your thing, keep impacting because I'm telling you, if nobody else has told you throughout your life or even in the last few days, you matter. And what you do is impacting. And a lot of people wouldn't be where they are if it wasn't for you. And I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and thank you for having me on. I enjoyed it. We definitely gotta do this again because I want to get more into depth with the hurdles and stuff like that. So looking forward to hopping on, so we
Let's
can really
do it.
dive into training, and I'm gonna have some stuff prepared so we can look what weeks look like, how I progress, and everything like that. So let's schedule that so we can get on.
Hey, and I'm with it. Listen, we can do a whole coaches corner around here. Let's get some coaches who are interested in learning this stuff, and we can record it. We can put it on live right here, and then we just talk and have a good time. Everybody grab their favorite beverage, and we'll get to it. Get your favorite snacks. So look forward to a new coaches corner coming up, and where you can kind of dig deeper into the hurdles. Thank you so much again, Coach. With that being said, y'all, this is Coach Jones, or some people gonna track Coach Jones. Coach Jones, call me anything, but don't call me late for dinner. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And if you got questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. Don't forget, check out the Track Tribe on the school app, SKOOL. Again, the Track Tribe, free to get in. Come join us. Come join the community. And don't forget to invite your friends. Don't come alone. All right, y'all. We out of here. It's almost 10 o'clock on the East Coast, so I'm gonna let y'all get back to living your life. And those of y'all in the Midwest, man, please, for God's sake, get a blanket and stay warm. We out of here, y'all. Coach Jones out. All right, we are off the air, coach. Man, appreciate you, dog.
Man, no problem. No problem. I have fun. I have fun.